Donald Trump is going to war with the credit bureaus, and if he wins, well, it could cancel the dominance of the FICO score as we know it. So imagine a future where one company does not decide whether you get a mortgage, a car loan, or even a credit card. And imagine paying nothing for that magic 3-digit number that lenders obsess over. Well, that's exactly what's on the table right now, and it's already shaking Wall Street, the mortgage industry, and the very foundation of how credit works in America. So don't click away, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down what's happening, why Trump is targeting FICO, how this could change your life, and what steps you can take right now to be ready for whatever comes next. So for decades now, the Fair Isaac Corporation, that's better known as FICO, has been the king of credit scoring. So if you've ever applied for a mortgage, a car loan, or even certain credit cards, well, there's a very high chance a FICO score was pulled in order to decide your fate. The model dominates the industry, and thanks to government-backed contracts and requirements, it's had a near monopoly. But now, Senator Josh Hawley, alongside Trump's administration, well, they're calling that monopoly out. Hawley has publicly demanded the Justice Department investigate FICO for what he calls anti-competitive practices and repeated price hikes. His argument is that FICO's special status, granted by the federal government, has allowed it to dictate prices to banks, lenders, and ultimately consumers with little oversight. So in practical terms, it means every time a lender pulls your credit, they're paying FICO for that score. And those costs often come right back to you through fees or interest rates. But worse yet, when the federal government mandates the use of FICO scores for FHA mortgages, SBA loans, and other programs, well, it all but guarantees FICO will remain the gatekeeper of credit approvals. But that gatekeeper might finally be under threat. The Federal Housing Agency, the FHA, under Director Bill Pye, is actively reviewing the credit scoring market. So in a move that rattled the industry, they recently approved the use of VantageScore 4.0 for mortgage underwriting, and even reduced the requirement from 3 scores to 2 in some cases. Now that's a direct shot at FICO's dominance, so why should you care? Well, because this change could very well reshape who gets approved and at what cost. FICO's scoring model is notoriously strict in certain categories, especially when it comes to older negative marks or high credit utilization. Many borrowers who might qualify under a different model have been shut out under FICO. So let's say, for instance, you've worked hard to rebuild your credit after a financial setback, but your FICO mortgage score is still being held down by a 3-year-old late payment. Well, under VantageScore, which weighs certain factors differently, you might very well see a higher score and more favorable loan terms. Now, if you multiply that scenario by millions of borrowers, well, you start to understand the scale of the potential shift. Then there's the cost. So right now, lenders pay FICO every time they pull a score. And while FICO says those fees aren't huge, well, the reality is they start to add up, especially for large lenders running thousands of checks every day. Now, those expenses, well, they trickle down to you. So breaking the monopoly could bring competition, which means, of course, lower costs for lenders and potentially consumers just like you and I. Now, here's where it gets bigger. So imagine you're a small business owner and you're trying to secure a line of credit. If your FICO score keeps you just under the approval threshold, you're stuck. Your business can't grow, you can't hire, and your income plateaus. But under a different scoring model, you might get approved, reinvest in your business, and hire new workers. Now, that's the kind of chain reaction that can ripple through the entire economy. So, my financial warriors, just before we take a deeper dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video that helps your credit situation. I promise it will help and you'll appreciate it. So buckle up and let's plunge a little bit deeper. So, if you're wondering what to do now, the first step is to know your scores under both systems, FICO and VantageScore. Now, you might find your VantageScore is 20, 40, or even 60 points higher than your FICO, which could open opportunities if lenders start relying more on that model. Second, clean up your credit file right now. Now, that means tackling high utilization, disputing errors, and establishing a streak of on-time payments. See, if competition between scoring models actually heats up, well, those with solid credit files, they will be in the best position to benefit immediately. Now, third, watch for the rollout of new credit products. If the monopoly ends, lenders may launch loan programs specifically designed to work with alternative scoring models, programs that could be far more forgiving to people with limited or recovering credit histories. And here's a crucial tip. Follow FHFA and DOJ announcements very closely. These changes won't happen in the shadows. They'll be very, very public. And those who act quickly, well, they could lock in better terms before the market adjusts. Now, if lenders suddenly shift to VantageScore, being first in line could mean a bigger approval amount or a lower interest rate than waiting 6 months. Remember, the credit scoring industry hasn't faced a disruption like this in decades. If Trump's push succeeds, while FICO's grip could be broken, new competitors could enter the field, and millions more Americans could finally get the approvals that they've been denied for years. But that raises a new question. If FICO loses power, will VantageScore be more consumer-friendly, or will we just be swapping one giant for another? That's exactly what I'm going to cover in a future video, a full side-by-side breakdown of FICO versus VantageScore and which one could secretly work in your favor. So make sure you've subscribed, have your notifications turned on because you won't want to miss it. So if you've ever felt like a single score ruined your approval chances, share your story in the comments below. And if you know someone struggling to get approved, send them this video because change might be coming faster than they think. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.